If you don't fight from form, you fight to form. Bruce Lee. DZ Tribe, Josh Thomas. Glad to have you. Hey, make sure you don't miss another episode. You're going to want to follow and subscribe on Apple or Spotify. Also, if you're looking to better understand how you get stuff done, head on over to sorry about that. Head on over to dozonedna.com and take our personality profile assessment built specifically for busy entrepreneurs. It's going to show you how to build your world around you for optimal performance. Once again, that's dozonedna.com. Today's guest is Gustavo Tapia. He has co-founded Height Digital, which has recently been accepted into the Inc. 5000 ranking in the 868th position as one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. And he lives in San Francisco. He's married and a new father. He's committed to helping business owners scale their businesses by creating digital marketing strategies that align with their goals. Gustavo, welcome to the Do Zone. Say what's up to the tribe and tell us something you believe is the key to getting stuff done that most people wouldn't think of.
Absolutely. Thank you, Josh, for having me on the show. And to answer your question, I think the key to getting stuff done that most people would not think of is having a commitment. Like it seems basic, I guess, or it seems like not a lot of people would think about that, or that would help you get stuff done, just like you were asking. But I think having a commitment is gonna help you get stuff done to grow your business or to uh, do whatever it is that you're working on, whether that's maybe you're training to be some type of athlete or a cook or anything. But having a commitment is what's going to help you get stuff done.
I agree, and there's a purpose. What's your why? What's your how? All of these things, but showing up every single day will solve a lot of problems in the world.
Yeah.
It'll solve a lot of problems in your life.
Yeah.
And it reminds me of, a couple of years ago, you've inspired something in me, Gustavo. And I bet you have, I want you to be cooking something up. I bet you have something to respond to here. Mm-hmm. But it reminds me, a couple of years ago, I set out on this mission. I wanted to see my abs. I'm not like a small man, and I want to see my abs. And so I put myself into the mode. I'm like working out. I'm eating very little, and I got close, but I didn't hit it. I didn't hit my goal, and I gave up. I stopped. And I gained back every single pound that I lost in that process because I did not follow through on that commitment. Mm-hmm. And so 8 weeks ago, as of this recording, I decided, you know what? I'm going to pick that back up. But this time it's not about hitting the goal. Following the Hal Elrod, the miracle equation, it's not about hitting the goal. It's about becoming the person who can hit the goal. And the only way you can do that is by having commitment and showing up consistently. What are some examples? And I still can't see my abs, by the way, but I don't care because I'm doing the things that will make me become that person. And eventually I'll get there, but it's not about the goal. It's about doing the things that get me that goal. What are some examples, since you brought that up, and I think it's a really profound point, what are some examples in your own life where that commitment came through for you, or maybe that commitment did not come through for you? With the lack of commitment.
Absolutely, because I said it's having a commitment, but I didn't share my commitment, and I could do that. And also, when I share this, your commitment does not specifically also in how I think of it. It doesn't need to be something specifically tied to the end goal, like what you were saying, or like, yeah, exactly that. So I have a business, a digital marketing business, where we help business owners grow through the creation and management of digital marketing strategies, right? And my commitment to getting stuff done is actually, I am committed to being a source of inspiration to potential business owners that are looking to take the leap into entrepreneurship. So that's my commitment. How do I do that? How do I feel that other people are being affected by my commitment is through lots of different ways. One of my things that I'm doing recently is I've been posting more on social media. I've been more vocal about what it is that I do, not just through business pages, but through my personal social media pages. So I never used to be vocal. I never used to post. I would go 3, 4 years without putting one single post on Facebook. And recently I've been sharing more of my story, more things that align with me, like whether it be a motivational message or anything like that, more positivity. And I've gotten responses from that. I've gotten people to tell me, like, hey, I absolutely love what you're doing. And I'm actually trying to start my own business. And I was wondering if you can help me out with what would be the best strategies to get started, for example. So that's one way where I feel that I've been able to impact somebody, and it's been through social media. Other ways can be like just uh, my dedication, that what they see, my way of doing things with the business that I also show on my pages. So whether it's showcasing case studies or results or reviews, anything like that, when it comes to the business side of things, and people see that and then they get more curious as to like what it is that I do. So um, yeah.
I once had it explained to me that people are starving for leadership. All of us are starving for leadership. There is a void in our lives that needs to be filled, and it needs to be filled with direction. It needs to be filled with commitment, to use your word. And if I cannot manifest that commitment within myself, I need to resonate or latch on to somebody else's commitment. You have this commitment to go and create the opportunity for people to become entrepreneurs. Man, I can really get on board with that. I haven't been able to find anything that speaks to me like that, but Gustavo did. So I'm going to latch on to his. People are craving that leadership. They just need somebody to step up and say, hey, I'm going this way. You guys should come this way. And it sounds to me like that's what you're talking about. When you stand up and you start talking about the things that are important to you, the things that are meaningful to you, those people who are wandering around searching for that meaning, they're like, okay, that guy's got clarity. I like that.
Exactly.
I want that person to influence me. And that happens at every single level of success, of humanity, all of the class systems. That happens at every single level, at the highest and the lowest.
Mhm. And I think, yeah, and you don't have to just have one commitment. I mean, you can have one commitment that's like, okay, this is it. This is the one, the big one. But then you also have little commitments, right? Like that's one of my main commitments. But then my other commitments that help me get stuff done is I'm also committed to being able to support my family, right, in any way possible. So, like you mentioned, I just had a newborn son. He's 3 months old, and like everybody says it, but it just you only understand it as soon as you have a kid. It's like your priorities all of a sudden change so much, and you're willing to do anything and everything to support your family. So that's another commitment that I have. And those are the things that whenever I feel that I am not able to get stuff done, or I've been procrastinating too much, or I've been slacking or anything like that, I think about, no, like, wait, what am I committed to? And am I living up to my commitment? Um, and for those people, like you were saying, that they don't have clarity or they're looking for that guidance or anything like that, it's just about them latching on, like you said, to, for example, to me, as they're seeing me, it's being that source of inspiration, and then helping them find their commitment, because uh, that'll then allow them to grow into whoever it is that they're trying to be.
So, well, let's talk about, you've got somebody's attention
Mhm.
and they're reaching out to you and they're saying, okay, Gustavo, I like the picture that you are painting.
Mhm.
How do I develop a business from this? There are tons of online resources available that will help me and teach me how to generate revenue. But where do I even start? What kind of advice would you give to somebody? Where do you take them once you have their attention and they're latched
Mhm.
onto that commitment? How do you get them to the next step?
Yeah. So, um, and this is something that I'm working through, right? It's a work in progress, because it would seem that now all of a sudden I should be like, I'm some type of coach or something like that. But this is just something that just happens. And it's through conversation that once they reach out to me, that I've had a few people reach out to me and they tell me, like, hey, what do I do? I'm trying to do this. I'm not, I can only speak off of what I've gone through and my successes and my failures. So I just get some info, like, on what step are they in, what phase are they in, and then I tell them, okay, when I was where you were at, I did this, this, and this. So whether it's looking at YouTube videos, for example, or whether it's finding a mentor that you can get information from, or whether it's finding the right partner. So it just really depends on what phase they're in of them wanting to become a business owner, an entrepreneur, and really just uh, telling them how it worked for me, what I did, and what I failed in. So then they have a better sense of what to expect or what to do.
And so what are some of those what are some of those things that have worked for you? I mean, you've done a lot of things right, but you've done a lot of things wrong. Like any successful entrepreneur, you've
Mm-hmm.
probably made more mistakes than wins, but the wins outweigh the
Mm-hmm.
mistakes by a factor of 10.
Yeah.
So what would you say if somebody is coming to you and
Yeah.
they're saying, okay, look, I want to get started, I want to make my first dollar outside of the job, what would you recommend?
I I would recommend, uh so if they're just wanting to get started, to have a mentor, have a good network, have a good support system. If you're married, having your spouse be supportive is, I think, really big, really important. That's one of the things that worked for me when I decided to go from, a W-2 job to an entrepreneur. It was scary, of course. Talking about those things where, okay, all of a sudden, I'm not going to have a stable income anymore. What does this mean for us? What are we going to do if I can't get any revenue, et cetera, et cetera? So, talking through that and being very communicative with, if you have a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, family members, support system. So just being transparent with them, so they know exactly like what's going to happen. And then, of course, if they trust you. So a lot of the times when I have these conversations with my wife about certain things, like, it's to the point where I tell her maybe whatever crazy idea, and she's like, you know what? Okay, do it. I trust you. So it makes things so much easier. So I think uh, I talked about two things there. So one would be, I would tell them to have a mentor, which is a little bit different. I'll talk about that, but having a support system is super important. And then with the mentor side of things, it's just, this doesn't have to be always, and you don't have to have just one mentor. You can have multiple mentors. One that is in line with the business or in the industry that you're in, so you can get that knowledge of, okay, what do I got to do to, if the business that I'm looking for, who do I hire, or what's the first step? How do I register my business? So you can have that person who knows that stuff. And then another one can be more, not necessarily about the business or in the business, but more about, like, hey, what are the right choices you're making? Like, are you spending your time the right way? Or what are some things that you shouldn't uh, continue doing because it's not healthy to your mindset to continue doing these things. So different styles of mentors. I think that's where I guess I would tell people to begin with if they're at that stage of, hey, I want to get started. Where do I start? Find a mentor, have a good support system, and then uh, and starting not overthinking things too much too. The more you overthink things, the more you delay the process of getting started. So I would start with that.
Music to my ears, man. That's what the Do Zone's all about.
Yeah.
There's a there's an article by James Clear, the author of Atomic Habits, that and you can find this online. It's also in his book, and he talks about the concept of motion versus action. And I've talked about this many times. It's really what the Do Zone, the skeleton of the Do Zone is motion versus action, right? And the way that James Clear puts it, motion is all of this kind of preparation work. It's getting ready, it's thinking, it's planning. You're moving around and creating motion, but you're not creating action. And only action leads to a result. Motion does not lead to a result. And so thinking about it is not action. It's motion. Actually, it's like the opposite of motion. It's stillness.
Yeah.
And so when you get into action mode, that's when results are created. And I was on 2,500 sales calls about the same thing. And I started seeing these trends with people I talked to, and the words that they were using. I want to think about it. Let me do some research and some due diligence, and and it's like, okay. And you start questioning those things, and I say, okay, cool, no problem. I'm going to diffuse the situation, and I'm going to ask you, okay, when you say due diligence, what does that look like to you? And they have no idea what it looks like, because it's just some bullshit that they said to keep themselves in motion, because action's uncomfortable. Action creates results. And what if the result's is something I don't like? I don't know. Maybe I'll just stay over here and keep thinking about it and keep not getting the thing. Because at least if I don't get the thing, I'm not getting some other thing that I definitely don't want.
Yeah. And
humans are weird, man.
Yeah, I like that you said that, because I've been big on that saying where you have to get used to, and you have to get used to, you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable to get things done. So you're going to be put in these positions where, okay, it's uncomfortable because you're not used to these things, but that's the only way to get things done.
That's right.
Especially if you want to grow. Yeah.
Well, let's do this. I think it's time to crack that skull open and do some Do Zone diagnostics. What do you think? You ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Awesome. So 5 questions, just the first thing that comes to your mind, rapid fire, nice and tight. First question, what's one thing you do, Gustavo, that keeps you focused on your goals?
One thing that I do that keeps me focused on my goals. First thing that comes to mind, and I don't really know if this is the best answer, but Google Calendar. I mean, yes. I use Google Calendar. I don't know if that was there's probably a better response, but
I think it's a great answer.
I live and die by that.
Yeah, I know. If it's not on the calendar, it ain't happening. I've scheduled dates with girls on my Google Calendar because I'll miss it. Oops. Yeah. Sorry, baby. Yeah.
Yeah.
So number 2,
practical.
Yeah, right. Exactly. She's like, can I get on your calendar, please? I don't know. Let me think about it. I'll get back to you. So, and how do you get back on track though when you lose that focus?
Going back to the commitment. When I lose that focus, I go back to my commitment. Like, okay, I take a second to, like, when I catch myself that I'm not on focus, I go back to ultimately what is my commitment to help me get back on focus.
I love that. And who's your support group and how do they keep you accountable?
Okay, so my support group, different groups. I have more than one support group, I would say. One of them is, so part of the business that I'm in, I'm a franchisee. So we're growing through different by expanding franchises. So definitely every one of the franchisees, we're all a support system for each other. We're all through different stages in terms of entrepreneurial lifestyle. So we get on meetings pretty much every day to talk about different things in business. And one of those meetings on Fridays happened to be like just anything and everything. It could be personal, it could be business. It's meant to just really share life experiences and be that support system as well. So I would say when it comes to business, it's the franchisees is the support system, and personal, it's definitely my wife and my parents. So
Nice. And how do you approach a difficult project that you're not sure how to complete?
um, I would start with what's what's going to be the part of the project that I can get done, and what are the parts that I don't know, and who can help me with it, who can I reach out to.
Kind of breaking it up into known and unknown.
Yeah, so for what I don't know, I have to check into how much time is it going to take me to figure it out, and if there's a deadline to it or timeline to it, uh you know reaching out to the people who can help within my network to look for that support and work on the project.
And Gustavo, what's the number one pro tip that you would give to someone looking to get more stuff done in less time?
More stuff done in less time. I think something that I do that helps me get stuff done in less time is going back a little bit. Also, Google Calendar has a big role in this, but not to say the same answer, but it helps.
All right.
Is just working on something for a specific amount of time, taking breaks, and then getting back to it. So it's important to not be in overdrive all the time because you're going to burn yourself out. So throughout the day, make sure to, whether it's taking a break or whether it's continuing to work, but in a different setting. So I just got a standing desk. And when I feel that I need to move around or I need to stand up and just be in a different position, I stand up, and it helps me it helps me get stuff done because I'm in a different mindset. My body feels completely different, and I'm able to focus a little bit more. So, um, yeah, remembering that, doing that stuff, changing your environment, and remembering to take breaks as well.
Nice. And I want to come back to you've had a theme here of commitment. And it sounds to me like it's a little bit of your guiding light, your north star. Whenever you're lost, whenever you're out to sea, you fall back to your commitment. And there's a strong tie to that for you. And I'm just wondering if you could expand upon that a little bit. Why do you feel like that is uh, such an important concept for somebody to grasp onto?
When when you say, like, you're out at sea and you're lost, I like to think that, let's keep it simple. People usually say, I want to be in business, or I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to be a business owner because I want to make money. That's what they say. But why do they want to make money? Like, why? So if that is the reason that you're in business, and the reason is I just want to make money, what is pushing you to do that though? Like, do you want to make money because you want to for your family and you don't want them to have any issues, then that's your commitment. Your commitment is, I want to be able to support my family. That's going to help you get back on track. Or is it that you're trying to buy a house for your parents or something like that that you've always wanted to do, or pay for your child's education or something like that? I don't know, but I think that that's what helps, because it's that big driver in getting you back to focus. It's what your commitment. It's not, um, if you don't have something that you're committed to, then you're just going to get bored of doing what it is that you're doing, whether it's taking sales calls or managing clients or anything like that. I think you're going to get bored, and you're going to want to do something else unless you figure out what your commitment is and why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Well said, man. And so you made a commitment to a new digital marketing concept in Height Digital. Tell me a little bit more about that. How did you get started with this, and how does it work?
Yeah. So with High Digital, that started in 2017, the end of 2016, 2017. And I was at another marketing agency, a startup, and I was account manager, supervisor at the time. And there was really, there was room for growth because there was a lot of moving parts. The company was growing. That company was also Inc. 5000 and then Inc. 500. But the environment and the values were not something that were aligned with me. And then luckily, I met somebody there who had left the company like when I was feeling like that. And then he contacted me. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking of starting this. Do you want to be a part of it?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's do it." I'm excited to be part of a startup and see where we can take this. Like at that time in 2017, we were not thinking about uh franchise yet, which I then became a franchise, right? So I was the first team member on board to co-found Height Digital, and a few years later, 2022 now, I've been a franchisee for the past year and a half. So in 2021, I was also the first franchise of the company. So
Cool.
yeah.
That's awesome. And so it's interesting to franchise out a digital marketing business. It's a little bit unusual. And I actually know some of your franchisees were in the same business mastermind together,
Mhm.
and they were introducing this concept to me. And I'm like, well, that's cool, but I've never heard of that before. What was
Mhm.
the inspiration for franchising a digital marketing company? Because most people are just kind of go and like, hey, I'm Bob's Digital Marketing or whatever, and they do their own thing.
Yeah.
So why franchise?
I think it's going to be different for everybody depending on how big their business is, whether, because I started from scratch, I started from zero. There's other digital marketing agencies that have 20, 30, 40 clients that then decide to want to become a franchise. Their reasons might be a little bit different than ours, but I think we all share one reason. And one of those reasons is being part of a company that shares the same values, that shares the same principles, that are all committed towards something. All of us, part of Height, we all have our commitment. And we really support each other. So we have, from anything that we need to talk about, like there's just so much support system there, and we all encourage each other to be better, to grow as business owners and also as individuals. So I think it's being part of a community like that is why you want to become a franchise. There's so many more other things that will help you make that decision, such as fulfillment, software, HR, your services, your product offerings, like all of that comes with it as well. But being part of a community that wants to be better, that wants to grow, that wants to learn is not something that you could really have on your own unless you create it, right? So,
Hmm.
um, yeah,
Nice.
just similar to why if there's no franchise in what you're doing, then that's also kind of why you join a mastermind, right? When you join a mastermind, you want to be part of like-minded individuals, and you want people to uh, share your beliefs or your growths or your success stories, anything like that. So you guys want to push each other and do better. So that's how I see it, I guess.
Okay. Awesome.
Mhm.
And so, who is a good candidate to become a franchisee of this business?
Yeah, it's anybody that is a current agency or wants to be part of a marketing agency, and that wants to service clients by offering digital marketing solutions such as pay-per-click advertising, search engine optimization, websites, logos. Anybody that wants to be in that space to service businesses should definitely think about wanting to become a franchise. And if they're already an agency and need support when it comes to systems, fulfillment, sales, etc., then they should think about becoming a franchise as well.
Excellent. And how can people engage with you, whether it's about height or just directly with you? What's the best way that they can contact you?
Yeah, so I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. They can look me up just by Gustavo Tapia. Profiles are all public, so you can see everything that I do, what I share. I also have a website, which is gustavotapia.com, that has links to everything it is that I do. So that would be, I guess, the easiest centralized way to know more about me and find me on the other platforms. But yeah, just looking me up by my name would be the best way.
Awesome. Well, we're going to wrap from here. Thanks so much, Gustavo Tapia, for joining us and sharing some wisdom about how you get stuff done and about your commitment to commitment. For those of
Absolutely.
you who are interested, you can learn more about Gustavo by going to gustavotapia.com. And you can also learn more about Height Digital if you're interested in possibly becoming a franchisee of that business. Once again, if you want to keep hearing great content like this, be sure to follow and subscribe on Apple or Spotify. And don't forget to get your own personal Do Zone DNA by visiting dozonedna.com. Until next time, remember, we all have the same 24 hours in a day. What are you going to do with yours?